demons around me. I've been putting on a fake smile, even though I'm wasting time. I don't want to be trapped in a box, trying to be like the rest, but I'm not. I just wanna go my own way, gonna let the past burn down, cause honestly don't wanna be.
Hello and welcome back to Small House Big Home. Welcome if you are new. Today is going to be working on our impromptu little project here in the dining room, the wall paneling. If you remember at the end of my fall clean and decorate part 2, we just decided to work on this because I was getting stumped on some wall decorations and we wanted to do this anyway, and so Chris was like, let's just get it over with and get it done. Because we are pregnant and we have to get little house projects like this done before, one, I can't, I guess, help because I'm gonna be so big, and two, just before the baby comes and our attention is on that and, like, you know, taking care of the home. Hopefully that won't cease projects, but it might definitely slow them down a little bit. But let me turn you around and kind of talk you through what we're gonna do today. So today is day 1 of our project. As you can see, we still just have this set up a little bit, like we did in the fall clean and decorate. Just to give you a little illustration of what we're talking about with messing up with the drywall, you can see that we just mudded a little too much. And so that's why we just have never really liked how this turned out. We did not do a very good job, and honestly, I didn't know what I was doing. We didn't know what we were doing. So we decided that paneling would probably look a lot better. So today is gonna be day 1. Chris has done some research and wants to try to get some of this texture off. But he said that if it's a pain in the butt and it becomes too difficult to do, then we're gonna go ahead and just leave it on, because we are plywooding the entire thing and we're just adding vertical batten. We're not doing anything horizontal. So yeah, Chris is gonna be home probably any minute, and we will go ahead and get started just by cleaning and getting everything out of the way, and try to start with getting the texture off. If we decide we don't want to bother with that, then we're just going to throw on the plywood. So let's get to it. So like I said, we were going to try to start by scraping off all the texture just to see if we could do that, and it might just make everything a lot smoother to work with. But we really weren't having that much luck getting anything off that was of any consequence. So we decided that since we're going to do the plywood, that it should not be an issue. And now that everything is done, it was not. So if you have kind of a popcorny-ish texture on your walls as well, and you want to do some board and batten on them, you really don't need to worry about any texture issues on your drywall. The plywood will cover it up.
Our separate ways, not enough time, not enough time. I'm falling behind, I hate to separate my body and mind, my body and mind. I feel like demons in my mind, demons in my mind. It tastes like demons in my mind, demons pushing all my triggers, losing my pride. But I guess that's what love do to people like us, struggling to come through. We had a fire that we watched it burn out. Isn't it time we go our separate ways? Not enough time, not enough time. I'm falling behind, I hate to separate my body and mind, my body and mind. I feel like demons in my mind, demons in my mind. It tastes like demons in my mind, demons pushing all my triggers.
If you're curious what Chris is doing here, he's actually taking off that little 45 piece of the molding from the laundry room to just make a straight edge, and then we're just going to throw the 2x4s for the molding up top and the trim down bottom. And we've just thrown the 2x4 on the bottom just straight across so that it gives it more of that farmhouse look. And now that all the prepping is done, we can finally get started with the fun part. We are using liquid nails to adhere the plywood to the walls. I went in with this, and then Chris came back behind me, put the plywood down, and at first he put it down with a hammer, like bratted it in with a hammer, and then we got out his brad gun just to make things a little bit easier. You can honestly do this either way. If you don't have a brad gun, you could just go in with a hammer, and that way you don't have to worry about buying anything like that. But my husband is a tool buff, and he has all that he would need to complete a project like this. But you can really do it with just a hammer and some nails. You don't necessarily need a brad nailer or an air compressor or anything like that.
He got it out for me, you know. He's such a lion searching prey. Sweet talking dirty on the floor. Look like an honest copy paste. Swarm around my head, look the way he goes. Buzzing like he thinks that he's my hero. Thinking of taking a break, shutting it down to refresh. Honey, it's all for the better. Oh no. So spit it out to my face, it's okay. I've been busy working late, unrehearsed my faith, like repeating my mistakes. It's alright, it's okay, there is no one else to blame. I'm busy loving myself. I've been prioritizing, and you don't make it on that.
So this is how Chris was able to kind of notch out the holes for the outlets. He actually did some really precise measurements and measured the entire board, measured the entire section the board was supposed to go in, and then measured the hole. Things like this I definitely cannot do, and I am very grateful for him that he can do these things. But his advice was basically just to make really precise measurements and make sure to cut out the holes prior to putting it over. He said it's really easy to make a mistake on this, so if you are a newbie, maybe buy an extra piece of plywood or two, just to, you know, give yourself some more wiggle room to make sure that if you do make any mistakes, it's not that big of a deal. You'll have some extra lying around, and then if you don't and you are a total pro at it, you can just go ahead and return it. So that is his advice for doing this part of any project, but like I said, I would not be able to do this without him, and I very much appreciate his help.
So spend your time with me. Looking for someone who can play though, wanna hang with me. I'm not really looking for a friend, so spend your time with me. Looking for someone not afraid to give it all to me. Get next to me, get next to me. All that I want is to get next to you, get next to you. Not asking for much, but it feels like the two of us are golden or gold. You see, we'll do you good, so take a chance on me. It's magical when you are close. Never thought the loving would be easy, but it's all for free. Won't cost a thing, so it's yours. Worth the try. Oh, this is the real thing. I'm down if you're down, boy. Get next to me, get next to me. All that I want is to get next to you, get next to you. Not asking for much, but
Okay, day 2 of our little project. As you can see behind me, we were able to get, up to, where's my, this way. Oh my God. We were able to get the board up over there past the door. So we actually have one more board that we need to put up to cover up behind the door so that we can get that done. And then we're gonna put the batten up. We need to put trim up here, trim down low, and then we're gonna throw the battens in between. So Chris and I are hoping that we can get all of that done today. My lighting is gonna be really, really bad because it's just been a really bad day today. You can kind of see it's a little gloomy outside. So excuse the lighting, it's gonna be pretty bad today. But yeah, we're gonna try to get the battens up. And then tomorrow we should be getting everything caulked and wood puttied so that this weekend I can actually paint and we can have this thing done. So let's get back to it.
so close, babe. What do you got? 'Cause I am gold, I'm golden. I bet you think that I should calm down, and that I'm overthinking everything about you, and that we're good the way we are. But I don't know that much about you. What things you like and what you don't, it's not that long since I met you for the first time. Should work it out, you know we should work it out. Before I'm too invested, I should probably ask you all my questions, get to know you better. Like, can you be trusted? Will you take me for granted? And will you let me down? I know I'm feeling something for you.
So to give the trim and the molding, so the top and the bottom boards, more stability, we actually added wood glue. So that was what Chris was doing. He threw some wood glue on there. And then I am taking this silicone brush and brushing it on. We did this only for the trim boards just to give them more stability, like I said, and make sure that they stayed and withstood the test of time. But with the batten boards, we really didn't worry about this. We just went ahead and brad nailed those in.
Before I'm too invested, I should probably ask you all my questions, get to know you better. Like, can you be trusted? Will you take me for granted? And will you let me down? Before I'm too
So Chris and I were able to make this part really efficient. I actually did all the measuring of the battens, and I ran outside to tell Chris kind of what the measurements were. He cut them and he put them up. That way we kind of split up the work, 1, and 2, we were able to just get it done faster. So you can see me here measuring, and then Chris cuts and puts the boards up. I was also writing everything down just to make sure. And that's kind of a really easy way to split up the job and make sure it's a little bit easier on your partner. Another tip that we have, we actually marked the middle of each batten board, like where it needs to go, on both the top molding and the bottom molding. And that way Chris didn't have to worry about using a leveler. He was able to just kind of slap it up and base it off of the measurements we had already made. And as you can see, everything was level and looked great.
Haven't said a word to me. Silent treatment, is this what it feels like when your heart is aching, when it bleeds? If it's over, just say it out loud. Say those words, go ahead, just shout it out. Just be honest, be a man right now. Say it's over, if it's over. Do you remember when we went to Paris in July?
Hello, and we are back on day 4. I did not film on day 3 because we just did caulking, and frankly, it's really boring for me to do it, and I didn't want to bore anybody by making you watch it. But I'll show you everything that we caulked and how it looks now. We also added a piece, but I'll turn you around and explain that real quick. Okay, so this is how everything looks caulked from back here, so you can kind of see the full effect. And then I'll go up close. We added wooden light switch plates because I'm gonna paint over this, and then a wooden electrical plate here as well. Excuse me, for plugins. But as you can see, we just got everything caulked. We did all of the edges, covered in all of the holes, got all of that looking really nice. And Chris was really awesome and made sure to measure out where the battens were gonna go so that he didn't put any unnecessary holes in the board that I would have to cover. So all the holes that were in this piece of wood was actually covered by all of these, which was really awesome that he was able to figure that out. He just measured it out, like where the battens would be, so that we wouldn't have to deal with that. We did have some holes here though, because I don't know if you saw, but we just basically measured and cut the plywood around our existing piece of wood here. And as you can see, we actually added a piece of plywood on top of that. One, because that would make this even, because before, since we did not take this off to put the plywood underneath it, there was 1/8 of an inch difference. So these kind of dipped in, I guess, if you went over here. So that's why he added that, to even that out and make sure it was all one piece. And then also, you can't really paint over a stained surface, sorry. So the paint won't stick really well unless you use a stain cover primer. But since I'm pregnant, a stain cover primer is actually oil-based, and I'm not supposed to work with oil-based paints. Yeah, Chris could have just taken care of it, but he's actually gone this weekend. So just to make everything easier, we just covered that. Makes it look really nice actually, because it's all really uniform. As you can see, we had to put so much caulk in this to hide. But once you put the paint on, you really can't tell. And I love the way that the caulk just kind of makes everything kind of come together and smooth out. So I got a few things to get started with today. First of all, I wanted to prime it. I got 2 quarts of this. I'm hoping that's enough, but it's just the Zinsser primer. It is water-based, which means that I can actually use it and work with it since I am pregnant. And then, oh, and the reason I'm priming is because I was doing a lot of research, and some people said that especially if you use the plywood like we did, it's such a smooth surface that the paint doesn't stick really well and it starts to peel off as time goes on. And instead of having to like sand the whole thing, if we just prime it, then we're done with it. Excuse the laundry room. It's still a fall mess because this kind of got in the way of all of our everything. But yeah, so I got this Zinsser primer that I'm gonna use on the bottom. And then this Valspar signature paint and primer. So we're gonna be doubly protected. I'm just doing an ultra white. It's the same white that we did in the laundry room. And here is the details if you're interested. And then I also went ahead and just grabbed one of these sets and I used frog tape, a little secret for whenever you are caulking the bottom or like even the wall, because you see here it came out. Sometimes I touch up paint on the wall, but if I would have taped it beforehand, then put the caulk on, then spread it out, and then take the tape off right away, it leaves a clean line. So I did that on the bottom, and as you can see, the bottom looks really, really good. And I should have done that on the wall and the ceiling, but it's honestly okay. So let's get to painting. So while this part of the project was really exciting because I was finally painting, which means we were finally getting to the end, I underestimated how much work the painting would be, specifically just getting through all the corners and crevices of the battens, and this was a pretty miserable process. So just something to think about if you're doing this project for your house. It was super simple but pretty exhausting.
We know how to push the buttons to the core, or I've got you. If we figured out what it's.
So the first coat of priming is done, and all I can say is wow. Look at how good this looks. I have a little bit of extra paint left over, so you can see that there's some more over here on this side, but it took 2 quarts of primer to get all of this done. And I just, oh my gosh, it looks so good. It looks so good. So it very obviously just has 1 coat on it. I'm gonna throw 2 coats of paint on it. Hopefully I will get that done today. This first coat of primer took me a really long time. I am exhausted after just one coat. I think it's all the brushing that had to happen, and I did not show that. I showed a little bit of it, but it just got to be too much to film, to like get into all the little crevices and stuff. So I apologize, I did not fully film that, but I just, wow, I can't stop looking at it. So I'm gonna throw the other 2 coats of paint on. It might be today or it might be tomorrow that I catch back up with you guys and let you know the final product. But next, after the 2 coats are on, we're gonna put everything back together and do some final reveal shots. Whew, I'm excited. This looks so good, y'all. I'll catch back up with you later.
You make me feel like I'm made of colors. Just you and me, ignore the others. Do you believe in one-time lovers? 'Cause I do.
And now we have finally made it to the end of this video. The wall is done. I am just getting everything cleaned up. I wanted to go ahead and get my table scape for fall setup. And before we did this board and batten wall, I was really weary of doing tablescapes because I felt like I had so much on the walls behind the table that if I did anything on the table, it would just be too much. But since now all we have is the board and batten and it's just that white crisp look, I felt like I could really go all out. And I even found some cute little hyacinth placemats to put on the table. So I'm really excited with how all of this turned out. And once the tablescape is done, that will be the end of this video. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today. I know it was a little bit longer video again, but I wanted to make sure that you kind of saw at least a little bit of everything that we had done, except for the caulking, because caulking is ridiculously boring. But I really hope that you enjoyed this video and that it gave you maybe a little bit of inspiration to do something in your own home. Again, thank you for joining me, and I wanted to let you know that I'm going to be taking 1 week off from YouTube. My regular job is meeting back in person. This was my first week, so Chris and I would literally work after both of us got home at 5 o'clock in the evening to try to get all of this done. So luckily it just lasted a week, but with the pregnancy and everything, I was pretty tired at the end of this week, and I just need a week off just to recoup and just get back into my normal day-to-day. But in 2 weeks, part 2 of my fall clean and decorate will be coming out, where I decorate the bedroom and bathroom, and also the couch, because I didn't get to do that in this video or the last video. And then after that, I will be having our infertility story. I will release our infertility story. So with that, I hope that you have a great rest of your week. If you watched to the end, I really appreciate your support and your interest in my channel, and I just love you, beautiful, beautiful people. Alright, I hope to speak with you in the comments, and have a good rest of your week. Bye, y'all.
About what is wrong and what is right. We keep moving.